This is the Nomestia podcast, where we return to home as a paste. You are welcome here.
Another little reminder before we begin, and I'll probably do another one. How many reviews have I had? 2.
Oh, we have had some reviews.
Yeah, one was obviously below 5, so someone's not into it. I told you. Averaged out 4.5.
Tough, man.
That's tough, isn't it?
It can't be all things to everyone.
Yeah, well, it's disappointing, I'm not going to lie. I also checked on... I was like, oh, I wonder what were my reviews on my other one, on Funny Chat. I've only ever had 5-star reviews on that.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's about the funny, so... But anyway, 2.
Yeah.
I think actually one of them was mine, because you can do it yourself. So actually we only have one.
Yeah, why haven't I done one?
No, that's why I said to you the other day, can you get your Apple app out so that you can do a 5-star review?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's quite simple. As I've said before a million times, we publish this via Substack. If you don't know what Substack is, let me explain briefly. Substack is a publishing platform. It started off as just an email newsletter kind of thing, but for people to monetize their newsletters, that's how it began. Now, I was at the beginning of that journey, and I said to you right at the beginning that this is going to be something. So I listened to a few podcasts about Substack and how good it was. Ola and me were one of the ones. They were massive on Instagram, but she doesn't post as much now since it's no longer cute pictures and just real challenges. But she was the one that was really targeting it and saying how good it was. And there were others as well, like business women, saying this was going to be it. And then it changed into something that it isn't a bit more now, which is the app. So it's now an app. So rather than it feeling like another thing, it's actually quite a nourishing, it's really nourishing compared to social media.
At the moment, it's still quite a nice, cozy corner of the internet, actually.
You have your own? You go on
I have my own. I've done it. I've knocked out a few. I keep meaning to do more, but
it's quite an effort.
Yeah, I know.
But do you go on Substack and read some of the feed?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
and I think sometimes you'll end up reading an article that feels really nourishing. So Substack now are brought out notes, and interestingly, only the last few weeks they've switched it so that when you open the app, it's notes first and not publication first.
Interesting.
So that's a little bit more social-esque, I suppose. I do hope they keep it as it is, but basically Substack enables people to publish their work and get paid subscribers and subscribers in general. I've monetized my other one a couple of times, but I'm trying to work out where I sit with it. And I think eventually Nomestia will have, which is linked to what we're going to talk about, there'll be a little moment of a download on this one that we want to talk to. But eventually it would be a monthly download will be accessible for people who are home educating. So that's eventually how it will move. The model will move to that. But it's completely free to join the Nomestia Substack. And if you do, then you get this directly into your inbox, and also other little ditties along the way, because I share a video most weeks as well. So it's it's a beautiful place to be, is Substack, as opposed to, it feeds the soul, I would say. Yeah,
it's a bit more nourishing. Just what we're going for.
Yes.
And nourishing is a quite good segue into what we're talking about this week.
Yeah, go on then.
So following on from, Naomi did a bit of a book club the other day talking about Indistractable. I'm talking about a book this week that's quite close to my heart. I read it and was very moved by its content. We're talking about Ultra Processed People by Chris van Tulleken. Chris is an NHS doctor. He's written this book. It came out in 2023. I think it's caused a bit of a stir, and I don't know if you've read it, but you must read it. If you're interested in your diet and your children's diet, for me, it's an absolute no-brainer. You must read this book. Also, disclaimer, I'm going to be talking about aspects from the book, but read the book, because Chris goes into so much detail about each point, and there's going to be stuff that I haven't talked about that's still massively interesting.
It's also, you can listen to it on Spotify.
Oh, and is it available on there?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
That's good news.
I like the subtext of it is, why do we all eat stuff that isn't food, and why can't we stop? That was one of my favourite things about it. I haven't read it.
Some of the quotes on the blurb are quite interesting, and the one that chimed with me was Rob Delaney's quote. He just says, "Read it and fight back." And I think that basically sums it up, because basically I read this book and I was just pretty pissed off by the whole situation. So let's just get into it. What is ultra-processed food? Now, a key indicator of ultra-processed food is that if you look at the packaging and if you look at the ingredients list, there's going to be ingredients there that you don't recognize, that you wouldn't have in your kitchen cupboard. That's like the most basic sort of defining feature of ultra-processed food. Chris goes into it more in the book, and there is a more detailed definition of processed food, but for the sake of identifying, that's a good starting point. One basic example, and the one that Chris starts off with in the book, is ice cream. He's having some ice cream and he's looking at the back of the packet, and it's got emulsifiers and stabilizers and that kind of thing. Ice cream, in reality, if you're making ice cream,
well, we've made ice cream.
I've made ice cream in the past. We had an ice cream maker when we had the house.
Yeah.
Did we sell it? Oh yeah, we did sell it. But I used to quite enjoy making my own ice cream. In reality, ice cream should have eggs, cream, and milk, something like that.
And
like
sugar.
It should be and sugar. And it should be relatively a few ingredients. But you look at the back of a packet of ice cream, you like your Molly's ice cream that you get from Tesco, and it's full of these other things that you just don't recognise and you don't understand what they are.
Yeah.
Now, the whole point of these things are that they're cheaper. They're cheaper ingredients.
But is it not also the point to make it last longer? Because that's what we're leading with.
Exactly. We were getting onto that. You know, it kind of brings us back to why do these things exist in the first place? Now, obviously, back in the day, ultra-processed food was kind of the whole purpose of it, and the whole purpose that people were sort of looking into it was to, not with ulterior motives, basically like the corporations. They were like looking to do it in order to help with transport, in order to help with reducing spoilage, in order to help reduce costs for people who, you know, couldn't afford this food. So that's why it was invented. But these days, it's the same reasons, but it's purely to increase those profit margins and to sell as much as possible and increase that profit margin, because, you know, to produce this stuff in the way that they do, it's much, much cheaper than obviously to produce it with actual ingredients. The ingredients are cheaper. The way they do it is cheaper. And when they make it, it means that they can, so like Wall's ice cream can then distribute it all over the UK, and there's no danger of it melting because it doesn't melt. What you end up with is not really ice cream. In the example that Chris had, he referred to it as a gelatinous goop, which doesn't sound massively appetizing.
It does melt a bit though, because then we put it in the freezer. And
Yeah.
I got sick after ice cream. I told you that was one of my worst sick. It's like I got really food poisoning from that.
Yeah, but then
people put it in the microwave.
But then that's the thing. I'm interested to hear that, because the ice cream that you got sick on, do we think that that was like posh ice cream or?
Oh, that's a really good question. It was at my friend's house. I don't know, but they'd obviously heated it up. You know, people put it in the quick
buzzing thing
in the microwave, and they obviously had done it more than a few. I don't know, once, twice, and that we were both really ill, me and my friend, from that ice cream. I don't know. Honestly, it was the worst.
Because in reality,
food poisoning.
Yeah, because in the reality, like ice cream that's really ultra processed, it just won't. That just won't happen. It won't.
Maybe it was posh one then.
Yeah, maybe it was. Yeah, maybe it was.
They did shop in the posh supermarket. I remember.
Maybe. That's why we have it. And these days, like I said, it's much more insidious the way that it's used. There's more aspects to it now. Nowadays, ultra processed food is like made to be addictive.
Yeah.
It's made so you don't feel full when you have it, basically. It means that actually when you eat a biscuit that's like completely ultra processed, it doesn't really fill you up, and you can eat another biscuit because it's designed to not trigger the signals in your brain to say that you're satiated. So that's a reason why it leads to, you know, weight issues, other things related to that. What I found interesting as someone who believes in some of these things was there was a sort of a myth-busting part to the book, which I found fascinating.
Okay.
Number one myth regarding the sugar, and talking about, in reality, sugar itself. It's not the sugar itself that is bad for you. There was a big...
We talked about this on in the first one.
Yeah,
it
we
was
did
about
sort of touch on it,
children
didn't we?
going mad like with sugar, but then the studies had shown that wasn't the case.
Yeah, in reality, it doesn't. And actually, a calorie that comes from sugar is no different really from a calorie that comes from fat, or, you know, like a carb or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
the issue with sugar is, as we know, like as I explained to Xanthi the other day when she was refusing to do her teeth, is that sugar is just really bad for your teeth.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's the one thing that the dentists always say to parents is like, out of everything, just don't give them fizzy drink.
I literally read this section to Xanthi the other day about the sugar, and I was going to see if I could
What, you
find
read it to her? What,
Yeah.
when she was having a paddy or after?
No, it was while she was having
Amazing.
a
Do
paddy,
you
while
think-
she was refusing to clean her teeth.
Amazing. Did she listen?
Did she listen? I can't remember.
She did clean her teeth
I
eventually.
think we did. I think we. It was some other threat that made her clean her teeth in the end.
The other thing I can't deal with is when they don't clean their teeth and
Yeah.
they've eaten something sugary in the day. It's the biggest stress for
Yeah.
me because I have fillings, so I just don't want that for them.
So this is the bit that I literally read to Xanthi. I literally picked up the book because I'd been like doing a bit of research before the podcast. Even in the UK, where we have a huge and relatively well-funded public health infrastructure and labelling it about sugar content, tooth decay is the most common reason that children in the UK have a general anaesthetic.
Yeah, I mean, that did blow my mind that that is the biggest reason.
So the
I
biggest,
had it when I was a child.
that blows my mind. Yeah, honestly. So
Have you got any fillings?
yeah, I've definitely had fillings back in the day when I was
Really?
like younger. Yeah.
Well, your parents paid for the non-dodgy silver ones. Then. Like, clearly not helping my belly.
So, you know, the sugar in and of itself, not a massively important thing for your body, but only for the teeth. So the other myth that was busted in this section, which I found fascinating, considering the fact that this is the reason why I thought I'd lost loads of weight a couple of years ago.
Well, when you say loads of weight, I mean you weren't like overweight.
No, but
Just like
I lost
little,
like a
what we
decent
would
amount.
call love handles.
I lost my love handles.
And like a little bit of weight around your face.
Yeah. So I've always thought, you know, and it actually was, it used to be like quite a thing on like The Only Way is Essex. No carbs.
Was it? You used to watch that?
No, not that I used to watch it, but I hear about it.
Oh, no carbs before marbs.
No carbs before marbs.
Right. Oh, yeah, marbs, yeah.
Yeah. But actually, science has now proved that carbs is the same as protein. Like a calorie that you get from carbohydrates is the same as protein. And it's all in the book. Like I say, we're just glossing it over today. All the receipts are in the book. As you can imagine, like...
Because he did studies, or he was using studies.
Oh, no, he was using studies.
Like, he backed
and it has
everything
been studied. Oh, yeah. Everything is backed up meticulously.
Yeah, that's what I
As
love.
you can imagine, because we're dealing with, like, big corporations here. So there's no risk of... There's no risk on like a team of lawyers coming down on Chris because it's all like meticulously referenced and that kind of thing, which we like to see. So yeah, that was fascinating to me. That actually, in reality, a carb calorie is the same as a protein calorie.
Yeah, so why did you lose all your weight then?
Yeah, well, I think. I mean, here's my theory.
Because you don't know why, but your theory is. This is what your theory is.
No, I think it's because we started eating more protein and more meat and eggs, and I think it was helping to satiate me. Whereas I think that before when we were eating more sort of vegetarian food, I think I wasn't as satiated, and I felt myself grabbing for more bread or like more carbs in order to try and like fill that gap. Yeah. So what, you know, we're only saying that a carb is the same in both formats. We're not saying that it doesn't necessarily affect. I would say that's my theory.
And basically, this whole thing kind of... I mean, does he mention Slimming World in this book?
No, I don't
Why
know.
not?
Oh, maybe I don't know.
Why not?
Oh, I don't know.
Because that's a big fucking problem, innit?
Well, I don't know. I think that's another podcast.
Right. Well, no, it's not. We ain't got nothing to say on it. I'm not done
I've got
Slimming
nothing
World.
to say. I've got nothing to say on Slimming World. Good luck to them.
Yeah, but this is my point. Like, what's the fucking point in calorie counting then? What's the point?
Well, exactly. I don't know.
Okay, go on then. Keep going.
The biggest myth.
All right.
So
how do you know it's the biggest? Did he say?
So you know,
Did he say it was the biggest myth, or is it your biggest myth?
To me, this is a big one.
Okay, yeah.
To me, this is a big one.
Right.
Okay. Because cutting out carbs, just discovered that's not a thing. That doesn't work necessarily in itself. This is the big one. People who say, "Oh, I eat what I want, but then I just make sure I exercise."
Oh yeah, that was the one. Yeah, you did say about this.
Now, this is what I find fascinating.
No, but again, this is why I'm saying why Slimming World not mentioning that, because they talk about that, don't they?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, they talk about the exercise and the calories versus how much calories they intake versus how much exercise they need to do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is the thing. So this kind of blows that out of the water.
Yeah.
So studies have been done. So obviously it'd be quite difficult to study this, but they have done studies where they've measured the calorie intake of a tribe in...
I love a tribal study.
Yeah. So, one that's not been touched by civilization, literally a hunter-gatherer tribe.
Oh, yeah.
So these guys, they're out for like a couple of...
Where is that? I want to go meet them.
I didn't write it in my notes, but it's in the book somewhere. I need to just
Sorry, you
find that.
No, you don't have to find it. I just wondered where they were. I want to go join a hunter-gatherer tribe.
Yeah. It's the Hadza tribe.
Yeah.
And they're in northern Tanzania.
Oh, fuck. I went to Tanzania for 6 months.
So they did a test on them.
Yeah, I can see this in there. Go on then.
Yeah. And they measured the amount of calories that they used during the day on their 2-hour hunt. And they compared that with, I believe, someone just in, who was working in North America in an office job. And it turns out that doing more exercise does not use more calories during the day. So
what about at night?
So what happens is that the body compensates for how much calories you're using. So the person doing the hunt, they're using calories in that way, which means that when they rest, their rest is a much stronger rest and uses less calories.
All right.
But when someone's doing a job like, working in an office, the calories that they used are used elsewhere. So either as stress or the rest, for example, that they're doing is not as restful.
Yeah.
So in reality, whatever you're doing, whatever your activities during the day, it balances out. The body balances out and it's remained level. So hence why, and it completely disproved this person who was doing a study on why obesity is caused by a lack of activity, and he was doing that, and he was set out to prove that it was a lack of activity that was it was. But then it turned out that this guy was had links to Tate and Lyle, the sugar company. So it was in his interest to prove that, oh no, it's not the food.
Yeah.
It's because we're not doing enough exercise.
I think that's where people always forget as well to be careful with the studies, because some of these studies are underhand studies.
There is a lot of examples of that.
You did say about
that.
That
is the one
book.
example that I've made a note of, but all through the book, this is what I'm saying, like, you just read the book because it is absolutely flabbergasting. These so-called studies being carried out by people who are linked to McDonald's, linked to Coca-Cola, linked to all the big food corporations.
Yeah, because people don't realise that to do a study is like really fucking expensive.
Exactly.
And so these big corporations can afford to do it, and it's in their best interest as well.
Exactly.
It's the same with like birth studies. When we were looking at studies for birth, careful where you get that study from, careful where that result comes from.
Yeah, always. So that's the thing. Chris has done his due diligence on that, and he's done his research on that, and all the studies, he's found several examples of where they have like links to the big corporations, which is just ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. So yeah, I like that because it's a good example of that, the fact that the guy who was like trying to prove that inactivity causes obesity was actually working for, or had links with Tate and Lyle, the sugar company. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
Well, it's so interesting because these perceptions that we have around food and other things as well, they change over decades, and because of other studies. And then these studies, like his one will come up and everyone will say, it's like, we've talked about this a lot, but it's like when people say, okay, well, actually all full fat is bad. Full fat is bad. And so everyone goes with the low fat options. And they're so fucking bad. Like the low fat options. Yeah, people don't realise that.
Interesting point to mention that actually, as a general thing, like low fat stuff, and also, I hate to say it because we do it for Xanthi, but like also gluten-free stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, gluten-free biscuits.
Yeah.
These are more susceptible to being ultra-processed things because they're having to use other ingredients like that they've come up with in a lab. It's, it's just the way it is, annoyingly.
Diets are so challenging because I actually was doing research for the book I'm writing for Nemestia. And I was talking about gluten in that book, and then I found a study about how actually not having any gluten in your diet can also cause problems. You need to get it from other grains, and what do those grains look like? You know, like it's a whole can of worms when you get into it.
It's complicated.
This is
why,
complicated.
you know, just want to this podcast is basically just me essentially saying just buy the book and read the book and just get angry about it.
Yeah, I mean, when you were giving me snippets, you know, I was already pretty angry, but you know, I don't know. It's like, I don't know if you're going to come on to it, but being in Morocco is a real reminder of what it means to. There's this balance, right? It's like we were talking about this with other van lifers only yesterday. There are things that you can buy in the UK supermarkets that you certainly can't buy here. Like, for example, I don't know, like a certain tea that you might be really into. You know, I try to shop. You know, we tried to shop when we were in Margate. We would go to the local biodynamic butcher. I would shop often in the health food shop, and then we would top it up with the bare necessities from a Tesco. But when you're in Morocco, when you're in Africa, you're going to the market. That's where you shop. And the only shops that they have are filled with ultra-processed food.
So this is what I was going to come on to. Like when we're talking about corporate stuff, bad corporations, Nestle.
Oh, they're worse.
you just went and said it. Like Nestle features quite a lot.
Yeah, well, of course Nestle features, because again, that comes back to the birth work that I've done, and you know, the history of looking into formula, and Africa was one of their places.
Yeah, it does go into that. Yeah, the formula thing, but also what we've seen in Morocco is the
everywhere, though,
destruction,
Africa.
what Nestle did in terms of the destruction of traditional diets. So there's an example where they literally sent a massive boat into the Amazon, into Brazil, and they were giving ultra-processed snacks to villagers on the banks of this Amazon, who then became addicted to this stuff, and so they sold them. It's all about finding that new market, making more money. Okay, where can we sell this stuff now? Where can we sell this?
It's just honestly disgusting.
Like going through Morocco, it's something that I said to you. It was a comment that I literally made to you when we were just trying to get some like general groceries. And I was like, oh, what about this shop? And I walked in and it was just ultra processed
that was when we
crap, man.
That's when we first got here, and you were like, oh, and I was like, well, it'll be ultra processed, and you went in and you couldn't believe it.
I was just absolutely like, oh yeah, no, it was really sad.
Yeah,
it was really sad to see. And now I because you know, like another key indicator of ultra processed food is colourful packaging that's being like aggressively marketed to children, or you know, to people in general, or like a little animal mascot, or like a you know, like an offer to buy more, or like, you know, that kind of thing. It's laughable actually now when I walk around a supermarket, like when I was walking around the Continente in Portugal, and and then you're doing your general shopping for ingredients, and then you're like, oh, there's the biscuit aisle, and you're like, right, yeah, it is very colourful, and you're like, yeah, that's the ultra processed style. Or the what's even worse and almost sort of more insidious is the cereal aisle.
Yeah, that's really bad. We don't.
Those are the two big ones for me. It's the breakfast cereal, and the, you know, like the biscuit aisle is. I'm
so glad that our children don't have to have cereal anymore.
It's, you know, it's, you do what you can. You just need to be, the whole point of this process and the whole point of this book, we're not trying to be like too preachy about it, but we're just saying, just like get informed about it.
Yeah.
Okay. And
that's it.
Limit it. Nobody's saying that you're going to cut it out. And we certainly don't cut it out completely. I don't think you can cut it out completely when you're trying to raise kids and keep them happy and keep them, you know, you're always going to have the odd McDonald's, always going to have the odd.
Some people would disagree about the McDonald's. My aunt would never take her child, my cousins, to McDonald's.
Yeah, well, each to their own. Yeah, but we've all got our like little, you know, we've all got our weaknesses in terms of that, I would say.
Yeah, but the point is, this is what we always have to say. That it's all about being informed. It's the same with any world that you're dipping your toe
100%.
in, whether it's this or birth or whatever. You make your choice based on your information. You have the information disseminated to you with whatever format feels good, and then you make your choices based on that.
Yeah.
And you don't need to follow what anybody else is saying. You do your own research, look at your own studies,
absolutely.
Make your own decisions, and make your own fucking choices.
This is what I'm saying.
It's not difficult to do.
I'm not preaching to you, but I'm saying maybe just read the book and just see what you think about it.
Yeah.
See what you think about it.
But I think the thing is for you is that you were blessed with me having decided to switch diets during the last, 4 years?
Yeah, I think moving to the high, it's not for everyone.
Because if you'd have read that when you were shopping for me when I was breastfeeding, that would have been a more challenging
I literally have
discussion.
a picture. I literally have a picture
Do
of
you?
my shopping trolley when I was shopping for you when you were breastfeeding, and you were like, I'm just craving biscuits and
Let's
I'm
all
just
just be
craving
honest.
Kit Kats or whatever.
Yeah.
No, not Kit Kat. No. It wouldn't have been
Kit
Kit Kats.
Kat.
But I'm
I just-
craving. I
Galaxy.
can't remember. Yeah, Galaxy and chocolate and all those kind of things.
Well, if somebody was nourishing me while feeding twins with more protein,
Yeah, well, quite.
and this is
the
why
thing.
it's being, exactly. This is why it's being informed and realizing. I mean, obviously, we all know that Galaxy is not good for us, but why was I not satiated by a meal is because of the meal itself.
Yeah, exactly.
And then reaching for the Galaxy while I was breastfeeding.
That's the thing. Yeah.
It's like now when I'm on my period and I've got period pains, it's like medicinal steak.
Yeah, I'm straight down the butcher.
Yeah.
I should have a prescription.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah, so I mean, that's the thing. That works for us. Like the high protein thing, it works for us because it means we're it feels like we're more fully satiated in general.
Yeah.
And so we're not reaching for the snacks so much. But yeah, it worked,
Nuts. In Morocco, you can get nuts galore. There's always nut people.
Yeah, that's
so
the thing.
our
You adapt
snacks
it.
and nuts.
Yeah, you adapt it to where you are,
And
basically.
dates, as per
Yeah.
our discussion before. And that's the thing I think I'm going to miss the most is knowing that the food isn't ultra processed, because it's just unless you're going in those shops, you don't have access to it. You're not going in any how many, I don't know, we've been in one Carrefour since we've been here, or two
Yeah.
Carrefours
Maybe two Carrefours, yeah.
since we've been in Morocco, and we've been here for 2 months.
Yeah, the rest is in markets, and it does feel good doing it like that.
Yeah, well, what are you going
Yeah.
to do when you have to go back home to Tesco?
I know. I'll be being very careful. I was just going to come back to, because you were talking about Nestle and you were about to go on a rant about the thing.
No, I'm not. I won't.
Okay, we'll just quickly touch on it. So if you don't, it's quite
It's
well
quite
known.
triggering. It's quite triggering, though.
Well, it's up to
It
you.
depends how deep you go into it.
Okay, well let's not go into
Oh, well,
it.
it's fine. You can just briefly. I think it's important for people to be informed about it.
We're not against particularly baby formula, but it was the way that Nestle marketed it aggressively in third world countries, in developing countries.
Yeah.
And it's not. You said it was in Africa. Seemingly, it was just everywhere. It was
Yeah, okay. It
everywhere
wasn't just
where
Africa.
they could.
It was everywhere.
And the whole point is, it was several dangers involved with that, basically. These people, so what were they going to mix the formula with? Water. Now, the water in these places can be not as sanitary as it should be. So immediately you're endangering the baby, as opposed to breastfeeding, which is obviously going to be absolutely fine. So immediately the baby's in danger because it's drinking water that it shouldn't necessarily be drinking. The other danger was basically the expense. Initially, these people were given vouchers to buy it relatively cheaply, but then their babies got hooked on it, and then it's like a drug.
Well, yeah, because the babies were fed formula, and breastfeeding thrives with breastfeeding.
Yeah.
It cannot. I mean, some people do combi feed, but it is hard, and
It's
it involves pumping to keep the supply going. So if they started on formula, tends to what then continues on for that baby.
The other issue was, exactly the expense. The people could not then afford it.
So they were watering it down.
So they're watering it down, using more of the water that's not necessarily safe for the baby, but also then you're watering it down. It's undernourishing the child. So it has been estimated that actually thousands.
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers are in there, but it's like thousands upon thousands of avoidable deaths were caused directly by this campaign, by this formula campaign.
Yeah, boycott them. 100%. Don't ever buy from them. They're disgusting.
The corporations, none of them are probably ideal, but Nestle is a particularly bad apple.
Particularly bad.
Yeah.
Even the children know that now. They don't even buy Nestle.
I was going to do one more, like, in terms of corporations, I was going to do one more about Pringles.
Oh, fucking hell.
Everybody loves a Pringle, do they not?
I mean, it's been a while. I haven't had one for a while, but
Yeah, I
they're
haven't had
everywhere.
one for a
You know,
while.
Pringles are all over Morocco.
Yeah.
They
That's
are.
why I found it interesting. That's why I thought it was quite a pertinent example, because Pringles are flipping everywhere.
And also their marketing was absolutely excellent back in the 90s, wasn't it? Once you pop, you can't stop.
Well, once you pop, you cannot stop. You've hit the nail right on the head there. Pringles are designed so once you pop, you can't stop. They melt in your mouth, and they have barely any potato in them, which is another thing I'll come on to in a second. They have barely any potato in them. They're made of a small bit of processed potato, starch, and then like some corn flour, rice flour. Basically, they're more of a dough that's like a potato-y dough that's been formulated into a specific shape. We all know the shape. They melt in the mouth, and you don't know, your brain cannot compute that you've eaten anything when you eat a Pringle. So yeah.
What, nothing? Think you've eaten nothing?
The process is slow. Like, it doesn't get to the brain. The signals don't go to the. Don't ask me that. I'm not going to go into the science of it. I mean, obviously, I do know the science of it.
No, you don't.
No. Read the book. The book gives you all the science.
Oh, okay.
The book has all the receipts.
Yeah.
So yeah, once you pop, you cannot stop
I never
because you're
felt
not satiated.
No, I was
by
never
it.
felt sated after a Pringle.
Like, it's just like a yum 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 yum.
That's
yeah,
weird.
that's quite nice. That feels quite nice in my mouth. I'm going to have another one. Yum 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 yum
Yeah,
yum.
you get rid of them real quick, don't
Yeah.
you? Also, they do those little tiny ones, which are absolutely pointless.
Oh yeah, ludicrous. So to the point where, because a potato crisp is, and I think this was a legal case. I think it was in the UK, but basically, a potato crisp got charged VAT on it, but actually other processed products don't get charged VAT. So Procter & Gamble, we're talking about.
Oh god, yeah. Procter & Gamble.
The lovely people at Procter & Gamble, they actively said, they weren't hiding anything, they actively said, oh no, this isn't a potato chip, it's got barely any potato in it, so we shouldn't be paying VAT on it.
Oh right, what? So they just put their hands up to say that because they wanted to get out the VAT?
Because they wanted to get out the VAT, because they wanted those profits.
They
They
kept their
wanted
head
that
down.
margin up.
Should kept their head down.
They lost the case anyway.
Oh right, did they?
The court said, nah mate, it is a crisp.
What
anyone
fuck? What else-
in the
what else
street,
would you call it?
show
Biscuit?
a Pringle to
Cookie?
anyone, what are you going to call it? What are you going to call it? You show anybody a Pringle in the street, they're going to call it a crisp. It's in the crisp section.
That's like our van where we tried to get it to convert to camper. Still a van.
Yeah, I mean, let's not go down that.
That's
Let's not
what I
go
mean.
down that
I
thing.
mean, if you're looking at it,
So, Procter & Gamble embarrassed themselves completely with that.
but also outed themselves having no potato in
exactly.
their crisps.
And we all know that. So, personally, I would say, don't boil. Wow, I don't know.
Just don't bother with the Pringle.
I don't
It
bother
doesn't
with Pringle. They're
satiate you.
too
Why
expensive
bother?
these days. I mean, how much for a tube of Pringles these days?
Just get eggs. This is what we eat now. Loads of eggs. And in Morocco, how much is it for a whole tray of eggs?
Well, it's like €4.50 for 30 eggs, which I think is
Just
pretty good.
Phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah,
So good.
yeah. That's what we're living on at the moment, isn't it?
And they're so fresh. You see the chickens everywhere.
I love that. The actual, look, I flicked to the thing and it says
The true
actual,
cost. Wow, the true cost of Pringles. That's the song.
the true cost of Pringles.
Yeah. They actually aren't cheap as well, just so that FYI.
Yeah, well, quite.
They're quite expensive.
Well, that's the thing. It's funny.
why I've
That's the
never
thing.
bought
It's
them
funny
as
that
well.
we're talking about the cost, and that's the name of the chapter: the true cost of Pringles. Anyway, I was going to sum up.
Yeah.
I was going to just give you a list, because actually the edition that I've got is like a newer edition. I had like a little bonus chapter,
What was it?
and it's a chapter that sort of gave, since the book came out, it's like what's happened,
Oh,
what's
yeah,
happened
yeah.
to
I
him
love
since
those.
then.
Yeah.
Actually, no, just a quick one, talking about the corporations. Chris then got invited to have a meeting with one of the big corporations,
Oh, yeah,
and
you
they
said about
paid
this.
him. They paid him £20,000 for an hour meeting or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, £20,000 for an hour meeting.
Yeah. With
And
who?
which
Who was it? Was that?
he doesn't say, because this would be a bit dodgy if he said the corporation, wouldn't it?
I thought we said who.
All he says is, I decided to take £20,000 from one of the less awful companies.
Oh, right.
Okay. But he was going to take that £20,000 and give it to a charity.
Yeah.
Let's make that perfectly clear.
Yeah, yeah,
This Chris guy's a saint.
yeah. When hear a bad word.
But then, so he agreed to do it. And he was
Yeah.
like, yeah, go on then. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But then he got given a contract
Oh, you said about
to
this.
sign,
Yeah.
which says the supplier warrants, represents, and undertakes that it shall not make any statement or otherwise conduct itself in such a manner as shall, or maybe in reasonable opinion of this food company, disparage this food company and or its customers, or its products or services, or bring the food company name into disrepute. So lucky he or whoever he got to look through that contract spotted that, because then he would have been absolutely snookered. He wouldn't have been able to say anything about that corporation. But I just thought that was interesting. That's just another example of them, how they're trying to get you.
Yeah, they're just fucking
They
evil.
were like, oh, this Chris guy's brought out a rather nasty book.
Yeah.
Let's have a meeting with him and then try and trick him into signing a contract saying he can't badmouth us.
This happens all the time, though. It's like, it's like in the yoga world, if you look at, I've forgotten her name. What's her name? And she basically called out all the yoga, the fact that the yoga was, they were assaulting the women, and then. But in this case, her publisher just completely put their hands up, and then even though she had all the evidence and all the proof, and they took her to court, the publisher just abandoned her in it. So I find that really interesting that he's had to, whether he on his own or whether the publishers have, because who published that book?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's Penguin.
Who is it?
Penguin. It's Penguin. So
it's
you would
big
hope
one.
that Penguin would have supported him with that.
Yeah, because that's the thing.
And with the legal side of that.
She didn't get any support, but I'm wondering if because they've published this. It's edgy.
I imagine, this is the thing, I imagine Penguin's lawyers went through it with a fine tooth comb in this book and made sure that all the receipts were there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Because she had to, she almost lost her house because of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very interesting. And I think it's something to listen to as and when you feel that you've got the capacity to listen to something like that. Because it is going to really make you think about what's in your kitchen cupboards. And as we know, changing your diet gently is a time-consuming scenario that involves you to be in a regulated state where possible. Because
particularly when the children are involved.
Particularly when children are involved. And so
it's tricky, man.
I would say that if you know that you eat a lot of ultra processed, it's to give yourself that compassion and time. Because if it is something that you want to change, you're going to need support to do that from if you're on your own, that's tough. If you've got a partner support, that's great. If you can both be in on it, then that's wonderful. If you could both listen to the book and compare notes, things like that would support you with that journey, because food is the fundamental part of regulation, you know, and food comes, and there's a lot of triggers for people when around food. And so I think
it's tricky.
It's so
really
hard.
Tricky.
And I think the reason why you read that and felt so energized to continue on is because you had already started that journey.
Yeah.
I think if you hadn't started that journey, that book wouldn't have landed at that time for you.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I was just going to end on a light note.
Yeah, I'll go on then.
Just run through the diseases and conditions.
Are you actually joking? Is that supposed to be lighter?
Yeah, it was a little joke.
Oh, fucking
so,
hell.
like I say, do what you can. But
are you joking? You're going to
read
read the list of diseases?
Yeah.
When you say diseases, what, from eating what? From eating ultra-processed?
Yeah, from
Hold on.
overeating ultra-processed
Does he
food.
mention that guy that lived on McDonald's for a month in that book?
Oh, no, but that's another... Do give that a watch if you can get hold of it. Super Size Me.
That's great.
If you feel like you have too much McDonald's, just give that a watch.
And what's Paloma asked for a birthday?
McDonald's.
Yeah. There is one in Agadir.
We're not.
Apparently it's well cheap for a burger, and I'm trying to get away from it, but then everyone, like, she's met like 3 people who've been to McDonald's.
Oh, I've just been to McDonald's.
And then she's like, what? And then she goes, and then they tell her that it's like, 30 dirham for a burger and fries?
Yeah, fascinating. Actually, one of the things, talking about McDonald's, one of the things that it gets people with is the familiarity and the safety of it. It's like...
You mean those golden arches?
We need something to eat.
Yeah.
We want something dependable, because we've been walking around towns where we've been looking for stuff to eat.
No, but this is
and that's what they prey on.
No. This is the problem with our country. This is what really fucks me off when you go to you park up and you're in the services, and you're like, I want to eat something good, and what are you left with? Fucking McDonald's, KFC, and Costa. You having a laugh?
That's another part of the book. We talk about food deserts and food swamps.
All over the UK,
a food desert is where you're in an area and is surrounding you is ultra processed food.
Yeah, but that's bloody. Sorry, but where is that not in a high street or in
Exactly.
the
It's
UK?
tricky. It's absolutely. It's ubiquitous, if I can use that word.
The fuck does ubiquitous?
Everywhere.
Right.
Just say everywhere. But also a food swamp is where it's similar, but it's where you can get fresh ingredients, but they're hard to find because they're hidden behind the ultra processed food. So,
when I worked in Waitrose, it's clever how they do even stock the aisles, just as an FYI, which makes it even harder. Where you're placing things in the aisles.
It's all, I mean, you
it's all
go
organised.
on for hours about that, couldn't you? Like the way that it's designed to capture your specific
And
eye
where
or
the
the
aisles
children's eye, or I mean, it's a whole science, isn't it?
Yeah.
And another thing, actually, on the McDonald's thing. So yes, do watch Super Size Me. Fascinating. Also, do watch the film that's called The Founder, which is about the incarnation of McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely fascinating. Basically, there was a guy who did over the guys who originally came up with the idea of McDonald's. Fascinating. So yes, insidious beginnings.
Well, makes sense.
So I was just going to read. So yeah, do try and cut down on the ultra processed food.
Is that your FYI? Gently and in your own time, Naomi,
Yes.
from Naomi.
Yeah, because there's also everybody talks about obesity. That's a given.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there is also evidence that increased ultra processed food intake is strongly associated with an increased risk of, first one on the list, death.
All right.
So-called all-cause
Has they
mortality.
how can they prove that, though?
Right, all the receipts are there. There's all little things.
Got it. Yeah.
So death, cardiovascular disease, cancers,
Right.
type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, fatty liver disease, inflammatory bowel disease,
Right.
depression.
Well, I mean, that would be where I would go first. with this.
Quickly, just a lot of mental stuff
Yeah, of
to
course.
go with it.
Yeah, of course.
Worse blood fat profile, frailty, as
Right.
measured by grip strength, apparently. Irritable bowel syndrome and dyspepsia,
You don't even know what that is, do you?
which apparently is indigestion.
All right.
Don't know what it-
Just call it ingestion.
Yeah, and also last one, dementia.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a given in it. That makes sense.
Yeah, so
I mean, if we're going to go down the death, cancer and that, people argue that you can walk over the road and get murdered by a bus or whatever. So
like I said,
that
like
ain't it.
Naomi,
But for
like
me, the mental health is for me
Yeah,
because
fascinating.
the brain fog is completely and utterly different
100%.
to what it was. My performance, I'm not going to lie, is top notch when I, don't. And
we haven't been doing
and
that.
also because that's what I'm writing about in the book on the chapter on. I'm talking about regulation, nervous system regulation, and I'm talking about Xanthi and her irritability.
it is fascinating. We're kind of seeing it in real time.
Yeah.
Within that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
Wonderful.
That's my rant about it.
Great.
I would definitely, if you're interested, I would definitely just read the
Oh,
book.
and
Don't
also-
just listen to me.
But also, you're going to give a free little ditty after this for people.
Okay, so yeah, basically one thing we're living on at the moment actually is
Not we, the children.
the children, because it's working quite well as a little pick me up for the children, and also you aren't able to use the oven. So what I would say is, like, if you're in a house unlike us that has an oven, do like more baking.
Well, we do have an oven.
Do
But
more
we don't.
baking.
We have to plug in.
Yeah, it uses too much electricity, so we don't really use it.
Yeah.
But yes, do more baking, and for the snacks during the week, whatever you
That's
can.
what you used to do a lot
Yeah,
of.
that was how we did it. But these days, because I don't want to be using the oven too much, it's energy balls, non-bake energy balls.
So I was the one that said about energy balls for years,
Yeah.
and you've always ranted on about energy balls.
I've never been bothered about it,
But
but actually now,
You've got it down.
yeah,
And so you've created I read it today. It's like, this is what they are, this is why, and then
Yeah.
this is the idea. And it's not like a recipe as such. It's just an inspirational ingredients
yeah,
list.
it's like a matrix. I've created like a matrix to create your own house style of energy balls.
Yeah.
I use them in the van as a little pick me up in the morning. But what I'm saying to you is, if you're doing a school run or that kind of thing, they would serve really, really well as like just a nutrient heavy pick me up after the school run or like in front of the TV or whatever.
I just want to do a little note though on the side that you've got a list of wet ingredients that you can use. And I also just want to give people a note about peanut butter. So that's the one thing that we can get hold of in Morocco is only amlo. But just as a note, be careful with peanut butter and do your own research. Does it talk about that in the book?
It talks about palm oil.
Palm oil, yes, but I'm talking about peanut butter can be an inflammatory ingredient, and so I would again do your own research.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with peanut butter. So
yeah.
yes, I mean the palm oil is like a basic one, but yes, what you're talking about, just do your
just
own
as
research.
an FYI on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that will be on the Substack, so people can have that alongside it, which will give a good excuse for you to go on the Substack.
Yeah.
Great. And next week we'll be back with a van life diaries.
Yeah, we're going to have a chat about like what's coming up, and potentially might have a guest.
Oh, we've asked a guest. Big news.
But even if we don't get a guest, what we have at least come up with is like a guest format.
Yeah. So,
which is all very exciting.
But I was very brave and I asked someone today.
Yeah, no, can you believe that?
I know, I'm so proud of myself.
Didn't you feel like an absolute dick?
No, because I think this is the thing, people are used to social media and that kind of thing, but to be asked to go on a podcast is quite fun. That's what I found when I asked people on Funny Chat, people will be quite into it.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
just a bit nerve-wracking to begin with.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway, thank you for listening.
No mess here.